Time now for Fantasy Football Today for CBS Local Sports. I'm Jamey Eisenberg. That's Heath Cummings. We're giving you the starts and sits you need at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, and tight end for a very important week number 3. Let's get right to it with the start quarterbacks. Heath, you're looking at 3 guys that have a chance to play really well in this week's matchup, and you like Matthew Stafford getting Kenny Golladay back for that matchup against the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's been a rough start to the season, but I think going to Arizona against that high-powered offense, chasing the score with his number 1 wide receiver, Kenny Golladay, back, you look at his pass catchers. When he has Golladay as the number 1, then Marvin Jones gets bumped down to the number 2. Then you've got Amendola and TJ Hockenson as the peripheral weapons, along with DeAndre Swift. It's a very, very good set of pass catchers, and it's going to be a very good week for Matthew Stafford.
Yeah, we like garbage time for fantasy. It could be a great week for Stafford. Could be a rough week, though, once again, for Deshawn Watson as a quarterback you may want to avoid. Now, Heath likes him. We disagree on that one, but I'm going to try and stay away from Deshawn Watson if you can because of that matchup against the Steelers. We've seen him struggle now in one tough matchup last week against the Ravens. I think it's going to be another tough one. Buy low on Deshawn Watson. Schedule's about to get very, very nice, very favorable after starting the season with the Chiefs, the Ravens, and the Steelers. But this matchup in Pittsburgh could be another down game for Deshawn Watson. I would try to avoid him. Let's go now to the running backs that we're starting. And the surprise on this list is Joshua Kelly. He's actually the start of the week at CBS Sports for week number 3. Love the setup for him looking at this matchup against the Panthers. They allow the most touchdowns to opposing running backs through 2 weeks. They allow the most receptions to opposing running backs through 2 weeks. Austin Eckler should be great, but so should Joshua Kelly. I think he's a very good number 2 fantasy running back in this week's slate. Let's look at the running backs to sit for you, Heath. And you're shying away from Leonard Fournette despite the fact that he looks like the guy now in Tampa Bay.
He looked like the guy, certainly in the fourth quarter of their most recent game, and he might be the guy in the fourth quarter against the Broncos. I do not have confidence, though, that he is going to get even 50% of the total running back touches in this game. They're still using LaShawn McCoy a little bit. Ronald Jones is allegedly still going to start the game at running back. I would like to stay away from all the Tampa Bay running backs until we get a little more clarity.
Totally understand that, but I think if you're stuck at the running back position, we could maybe see the changing of the guard with Leonard Fournette taking over from Ronald Jones. At least that would be the hope. The running backs that you're starting and sitting are done. Now we look at the wide receivers. Who are you going to start? And this could be an interesting week for a guy like Deonte Johnson, right, Heath?
Absolutely. Double-digit targets each of the first 2 weeks. If it happens again this week, I'm going to have to start projecting him for more targets for Juju Smith-Schuster. As someone who drafted a lot of Juju, that's not what I want to do, but there's really no question. His involvement and familiarity with Ben Roethlisberger, they are on the same page, and he gets enough targets to start him in any format.
Let's stick with the theme and stay away from the Texans. Will Fuller, no targets last week against the Ravens, battling a little bit of a hamstring issue. He's expected to play, but I don't want to play him against the Steelers. Again, buy low on the Texans, buy low on Deshaun Watson, buy low on Will Fuller. Better days are coming, but against the Steelers defense, when he's not going to be 100%, at least that's the thought, I would try and stay away from Will Fuller. He'll have a target, he'll have a catch. He just may not be very productive like we saw in that week 1 game against the Chiefs. So not going to fall in love with Will Fuller just yet. But again, if you can get him cheap and trade, that's what you try and do. Let's look at the tight ends now who we're starting and we're sitting. And I know Heath's going to agree with this one. Dallas Goddard, maybe he's better than Zach Ertz. That's something he said on one of our shows earlier this week. I don't know if I'm there yet, but I am starting him if I'm stuck at the tight end position. You're looking at a guy now for 4 straight games, at least 8 targets. That's going back to last year. We know he's been heavily involved this season. And now they're down another wide receiver with Jalen Reagor not there. So I think it's a good setup for Dallas Goddard as a start tight end. Heath, who are you avoiding at the tight end position?
Yeah, I think it's really tough. You look at some of the guys that broke out last week, and people will be very interested in starting someone like Mo Alley-Cox. The tight end involvement is very good for the Colts. I don't know how many passes they're going to throw against the Jets. They don't need to throw any to win that game. So I would like to get away from Mo Alley-Cox.
All right, get away from Mo Alley-Cox, although he could be heavily involved if Jack Doyle's out once again. So we gave you the starts and sits at quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end that you need. Hopefully you'll be all set to dominate your leagues in week number 3. Check out our Fantasy Football Today podcast. You can find it wherever podcasts are available. We help you win your leagues, make the moves you need, entertain you a little bit as well. Enjoy week number 3. This has been Fantasy Football Today for CBS Local Sports.